Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Toon Talk. I'm one of your hosts, BaconLord,
And I'm Yoren Goth.
And I'm Erebus.
and today we are going to talk about the first healer you get in the game, Zatanna. All right, so to kick us off, we're just going to read off the abilities of Zatanna and talk about her with an early game and mid game mindset in mind, and then we'll probably share some very personal opinions about this uh, incredibly is useful the word I would use for Zatanna.
Early game, I think useful's fair.
Okay, let's go with it. Let's see what happens. All right, so to read off her abilities, her first ability is Abracadabra. This ability does special damage and applies 3 intelligence downs to an enemy. At legendary, it always purges 2 buffs from the target. In early game, this ability actually only applies 2 intelligence downs because the third one is the final upgrade for that primary ability. So it's 2 in early game, 3 in mid game. Erebus, what you got?
So I think that she is good at. She's a good teaching character. She teaches you how to use buff purges, which is very handy early game because there are only 2 characters that can purge buffs early game. It's her and Hal Jordan. So that, along with the fact that on her basic she applies intelligence downs so that all of her moves that do special damage do more damage afterwards, that's actually pretty useful early on.
Yeah.
Especially when the enemy doesn't have many options for debuff immunity.
Yeah, it's a very useful early games little skill set there with that ability. Goth, you got anything on that first ability?
No, I think you guys pretty much got it. It's useful early. Once you get later in, not as effective because because other characters have more useful abilities.
Definitely.
Yeah, purging 2 buffs is good early game, but 2 buffs won't move the needle late game. And as we mentioned on our recent episode, Why Should I Care About Buffs? Buffs are very key to this game. So
they're kind of important. It's whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on to Stacked Deck. Her second active ability. This is not a damage dealing ability. This is a heavy heal, and it purges 2 debuffs from your allies. And at legendary, it also applies a 15% true heal to allies. And that is actually 1 debuff exclusively in the early game because the second debuff is the last ability or last upgrade. So that's heavy heal and 1 debuff purged in an early game. Erebus.
Yeah, it's early game. Purging 2 debuffs might be enough, but most of the time you're going to be having Hal Jordan as your lead with a 2-turn debuff immunity right from the start of battle. So this ability might not even be useful for purging that 1 debuff. And as you get farther in the game, there are many better healers who can do overheal, which is kind of the standard for healers now.
It's way better. It's way
Are
better.
there any other healers in the game who don't do overheal at this point?
Most have been switched to overheal if they used to do true heal or regular heal. But I know there are still some characters that only do true heal. I don't know who they are off the top of my head, but I know they exist.
That's fair.
I'd have to do
There are
some
also
digging.
well, there are a few who are listed as doing true heal, who their true heal is an overheal.
Yeah.
So hers is not. You will not get an overheal from Zatanna.
No, she is plain and cut and dry. You get healed, and if you go to 100, you're at 100. Sorry about you.
Yeah, but again, early game, she is having that heavy heal can keep you alive.
It's also the only heal you get at early game, guaranteed. Yeah. So that's the use there.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to move on to next ability, Hat Trick. This is her third attack ability. It actually deals damage. It applies special damage and always purges 6 buffs from an enemy. Legendary, it will apply 4 intelligence downs. And then just to be clear, early game, that's going to be 5 buffs purged instead of 6. At mid game, the 7th level of that ability is the 6th buff.
Yeah. So, again, a good move for early game, and applying those intelligence downs does help her one hit harder. But overall, this move is just a worse version of Hal Jordan's 3.
Yeah.
Because his 3 is can't miss and purges 10 buffs and stuns. There are some gates on his, but most of the time you'll hit those gates, and part of that is legendary. But purging 6 buffs is good. Purging 10 and stunning is better.
What I will point out is the wording of Hat Trick. While, yes, Hal Jordan does this ability better, it does have the unique wording of always purge 6 buffs, which does mean even if the damage misses, the buffs will still be purged. So you do have that going for her. That is a point in her direction. It just sucks that Hal also has that point and probably an extra point for the stun. So,
Yeah.
But she does have the always purge as opposed to purge if you hit, which is my favorite because then it just doesn't work.
Yeah. On the other hand, she pulls a rabbit out of a hat, so what more do you want?
It is a hat trick. All right. Yorngroth, you want to take us away with the passives?
Absolutely. So the first passive that we're going to be talking about today is Hocus Pocus. So this is a passive ability that at early game will have a 35% chance to apply 1 intelligence down for 2 turns on an enemy that damages Zatanna. This isn't a very effective ability, mainly because of how low her stamina is. Early game, I guess it could help you out a little bit because, a little bit of intelligence downs will make her 1 and 3 do more damage. Once you get it legendary, it'll be an extra intelligence down, but the same, general rules still apply to it.
Yeah, that's a pretty... I can see it being useful with special damage characters early game because the damage you do is so minimal to everyone that I can see it at least helping a little bit.
I mean, that's fair.
And they are 2-turn intelligence downs. So it's...
Yes.
It's not
but it's under a 50% chance.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find something to root for here. I'm really reaching.
At the point that it is fully ringed out, it is a 43% chance. So, early game, we're talking, 35% chance?
35
so
early game.
That's... Yeah. 35% chance to apply 1 intelligence down.
And 39 before 70.
Right. And that enemy has to hit Zatanna for that to work. And one thing that many players have found in this game is that these percentages tend to work better for enemy teams than for your team. So
it's really a 25% chance point at that point.
Exactly. No, it's 43, so that's 21.5.
So it's Desaad's primary.
Yes. This is the Desaad primary bashing podcast.
Ironically, hosted by the New Gods.
Yeah, it's not a great ability, but it is nice to passively put debuffs on enemies.
That is fair. Debuffs are important.
But a maximum of 2 debuffs after you've taken the legendary point, that's just not a lot.
It's kind of underwhelming. So the next ability we're going to be talking about is Mistress of Magic, which is Zatanna's team leader ability. All allies have a I think we said it was 38% chance.
I'll do the math. Keep going.
To gain a 15% turn meter if debuffing an enemy. So this one's an effective thing if you have other people with debuffs. Like, it would work well with Hal Jordan's 3. The issue with it is, in my opinion, the same thing as Hocus Pocus. The percentage for it to happen isn't very high, and because of that, it's kind of irrelevant. With the Legendary, it will also help you purge a debuff from yourself, which in my opinion makes it a little bit nicer, but you're still wasting a team leader slot with Zatanna even early game because you'll have Hal available.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a below 50% chance to do either of those things.
Yes.
Fully ringed out, it's a 46% chance. And it's only if debuffing an enemy. And early game, there are not actually that many debuffs.
No, not at all.
She applies some intelligence downs, but other than that, Hal's 3 is the main debuff that you'll have on enemies.
Well, we get some more with our next episode when we talk about Sinestro, but yes.
Yeah. So it's not very many, and Hal Jordan's team leader ability is just better. You will almost never have Zatanna in the team leader slot if you can have Hal Jordan there.
Exactly.
Well, and also, like, I mean, what was that percentage you said you were on for the early game?
I think I said 38%.
It's actually 41, so I did check that out. So it's actually 41. A decent chance considering the end goal is 46. However, we're most of the way there. But I don't think it's great.
No. I mean, gaining turn meter is great.
Yes.
Purging debuffs, incredible.
Wonderful. 46%
chance to do it if you're performing an action that of our first 4 toons, only 2 of them, 3 of them, really have a way to reliably do it.
Yep.
The one that you would want gaining that turn meter is Batman CC. And
of the characters we discussed, yeah.
Right. And he's the one who can't, so...
Well, he can silence. He has silence.
Does he?
Batman CC has silence. That was an entire big conversation in our episode. And that's a debuff.
Remember when I said that I was going to start playing with him more?
You did not do that, did you?
I did not.
Yeah, I figured. When you start talking about debuffs, I was like, well, Batman has his one, but I mean, I get okay. They all have a debuff. A debuff.
Okay.
At least
so
one.
a 46% chance that their one debuff will go off, will gain them turn meter.
Yeah, I didn't say it was great. I still said they had one. You've got to remember that. It's not great.
Yes.
And now I feel like we need to clue in anyone who's listening who doesn't know why we are bashing Zatanna and why I cannot take her seriously as we're talking about her. She is considered a trash tier toon by the WROL. Did I say that right? I said that right?
Yeah, I think so.
They changed names recently.
2?
I forget. It's come back to me.
Okay, we'll come back. The in-game tier list that they make is that the name that Erebus will come back. We're coming back to him with that they make is she's considered trash tier, and she's one of the few trash tier toons left after so many have been reworked and elevated above and beyond.
I believe that their new title is WOWL.
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 Oh! I don't know why I didn't get that. Oh my god.
So it's a wow now?
Wow. Wow. No additional comments on that front.
But yes, Zatanna is... I still maintain, she is a good teaching tool. She teaches you about purging buffs, she teaches you about healing, she teaches you about purging debuffs. And once you get anyone who can do any of those things, they will be better than her without having ringed them or leveled them or anything.
Yeah. If they breathe, they're better at that point.
Yep, almost universally.
Yeah.
20 levels below, it doesn't matter.
And so something
hey,
that...
some of...
What?
Even some of the ones that don't breathe are better than her. Spectre, Black Flash.
Throw Solomon Grundy in there.
Exactly.
One thing I will also point out, since I talked about how she's trashed here, rightfully so, in the end game, she has also never been reworked. I was kind of talking to y'all about that before, but I thought I'd drop that here. She has never once been reworked in the history of the game, and she is one of 4 characters to never be reworked. And
4 characters who were in from the
beginning of the game. From the beginning of the game. Obviously, there's like new characters that haven't been reworked yet. Yeah, no, she's one of 4. Only 4. Even like Fire and Ice have gotten reworked by now, right?
No. Yeah, exactly.
She's one of the 4. I must say this, and next month's gonna be a Zatanna rework. I knew it.
Please do it. Make it happen.
I'm gonna call it. Call it now.
This is our the secret moment. We are wishing this into the universe.
We have said it. It now has to happen. She does need that rework though, desperately.
Oh, absolutely.
Like some characters just get power crept. She's just obsolete after early game. Once you find any other healer and buff once you get Lex Luthor in your team, this SSS, she's over. She's obsolete.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have him at L4. You just need to have him.
Exactly.
I think you just need him at what, R5?
Sorry, R4. You need him at R4 because he only has 4 abilities.
Yeah.
His team lead unlocks at 4.
That's fair.
I said L, didn't I?
I said that nobody had debuffs, so
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up, but since you brought it up,
yeah. So, anyways, Zatanna, good training for the game. Ditch her as soon as you can get somebody who can replace her.
yeah, the minute in the campaign you can get to chapter 2 and start working on Lex, get her out of your roster.
Another big thing is when you're doing the PvE, when you're doing the normal story campaign mode, healing is not that helpful. It can help some, but by the time you're using her heal, you're already in trouble.
Exactly.
I would argue as I've also discussed with y'all off the podcast, I have my alt that I'm working with right now, which is really helpful to go back through and kind of look at the early game with an alternate account, because you kind of get the this revived sense of, okay, I hate Zatanna, but I have to use her. And her heal isn't it's a good amount of heal still for an early game heal, but it's come in handy, especially against some of those mini bosses. I don't know if you remember, the campaign has a bunch of mini bosses early in, and as you're trying to do the heroic campaign, it has proven itself useful a couple of times when I only have the first 4 characters.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
I will give her a little bit of grace on the heal early game, but by mid game, if she's still in the top 50 of your roster, it's a different problem. I mean, she doesn't have anything to put her there. She has nothing to put her there.
It's true.
Like, looking at her stats, she has nothing to put her there, or her abilities.
Oh god, her stats are so bad. Like, in the bottom 20 characters for speed, in the bottom 5 for HP. Yeah, no.
Bottom 15 for strength. Top 50 for intelligence. As a special striker, I feel like you might want more than top 50.
Especially since healing also keys off of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
And she doesn't have any way to give herself intelligence ups.
Yeah. Not no one said it was a well thought out kit. It is 6 years. It's 6 years old. What do you want?
You're being
The
super
developer
critical.
who developed Zatanna probably left already and went and did something else.
That's fair. Well, that seems a good note to end things on.
Yeah, that's about as good as a note we're gonna get.
The developer left, and now so must we, listeners.
All right. I mean, does anyone have anything to add before we go?
No, I don't think so. I'm good.
No?
Erebus, since you're trying to kick us out of here, I think you're good.
She's such a
All
great
right.
comics character. She deserves better.
She does deserve a lot better. And on that note, we're going to leave hopefully optimistic that she gets her rework next month.
Yes.
And thank you again, everyone, for joining us. If you'd like to get more information or see the other podcasts, visit us on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel that will be linked in the description, as well as we have our If you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcast, that will have a link to our Discord server where you can ask us any questions that you so desire. Or you can visit us on our website, which I'm going to shamelessly plug through Erebus, who remembers the website URL.
apokolipspod.com, and our Twitter @apokolipspod.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
Did I hit everything?
I think that's everything.
All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your night, and we'll see y'all next time on Apokolips Productions.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.